My name is Evgeny. I work at another DevOps consultancy. We do architecture consultancy, cloud solutions, and configuration management, which is the topic I'm going to talk about. So Pavel said that DevOps is not configuration management, but I want to say that DevOps is configuration management. But what I'm going to add to that is that configuration management is probably not what you think it is. Okay? So who can yell a name of something that is configuration management? Okay. Okay. Chef, Puppet, Docker, Git. That's it? Anything else? Salt, Zookeeper. Okay, cool. So what is configuration management? And what is it used for? And most people have different opinions. Some years ago, you would ask what configuration management is. They would say version control is configuration management. But today, most people say that server configuration management tools like Chef and Puppet are configuration management. For some reason, it changed, but how could that be? Let's start from the beginning. Before the 50s, hope you can see there's a ballistic missile there. Before 1950s, there was the Cold War, you know, that thing, Cold War. And the United States Army was developing a lot of ballistic missiles, was trying to improve them. But the problem was they created successful prototypes. They could not mass produce them. They just couldn't. They couldn't reproduce the successful steps, okay? They realized that the reason for that is because they failed to record the configuration of how they actually created that thing, okay? And there was a memo in 1950. I mean, you cannot see, but this is like this tree of configuration management standards. Maybe you can see it in the link to the slides later. In the 1950, there was the first memo going to the army that is saying we should configure manage our stuff. And more or less before the was it the 2K bug or .com boom, more or less the standards have finalized and they haven't changed much since. And that's just the standards. The standards say what is it, configuration management, what it means. It's made for large companies, not for startups. It's made for enterprises, military, NASA, all that stuff, NATO. And another note about this is that the Department of Defense had about 30,000 of their own standards, okay, about in the 90s. And they decided to drop it all to the bin, to the garbage, and start using the, that flash is annoying a little bit, and start using the commercial standards that came out, okay, like ANSI, ISO, all that stuff. So now everyone can benefit from it. So the simple reason what is configuration management and why it is used for, and I'll come back to this later again, is because you want to do everything like, you want to do more than one thing in the same way, right? And the army actually managed to do this, if you can see in the picture. This is an example of how the army finally managed to mass produce something. And I bet most of you know the problem of special Snowflake servers, when there's this one server that someone went and configured, and there's another server that's supposed to be just like him, but it's not, okay? There are inconsistencies, and nobody knows about it. It's not in version control. It's nowhere to be found. And when someone changes manually and there's no process, that's usually what happens, okay? I'll jump to the next reason. So you don't really want to repeat yourself all that many times, especially if you're a human and you don't want to do manual work. And you want to save yourself from waking up in the middle of the night. You want to be like this. I'm working. I'm on the beach. Not stressed out about errors happening all the time, data centers falling down like we heard in the morning, or miss your musical band repetition like the Almanash Horat said earlier. And I want to explain what configuration management is. It's basically these four things. You should identify all the stuff that needs to be configured or managed. What is your stuff, okay? You store the list of this in some configuration management database, your Git repository, your documentation, whatever, wiki or anything. And then when you want to make changes to these configuration items, you want to manage the change, okay? You want to have versions, and you want to know what came before, what came later. And so multiple people could communicate and discuss the same thing. And of course, you want to see the state and like query what is the latest version of my application and what is the actual way that my server is supposed to be configured and all that. And there should be some way to get that information out of your storage system. So this is an example of a change request, something that has been done previously before all this new cloud and automation and fast startup movements. You would say, okay, we found that the airbags in our cars are inflating when we drive too fast. Please fix it in the next car release. Okay, this is what it says. No need to read. And the question that comes up is, where are these things managed? Okay, so you have your version control for your code. And that is just the second from the bottom, right? You know what the dependencies of your code is, your gem file maybe, or your library manifest or whatever. But when you deploy to an environment, every environment has a different application configuration. So there's another level under. And your servers themselves, how they were provisioned, how they were created, what is the configuration inside the operating system, the various configuration files. That is a different level. That's where Chef and Puppet come in. All the storage and whatever that the satellite services, for example, in Amazon, like network, storage, your message queue, all that. How is it configured? Where is that configuration information stored? Okay, that should also be part of your configuration management. So your configuration management is not just Chef. It's not just Git. It's all these things that make your business tick, because your business is technology. Let's move on. And as you said before, you already use configuration management at some of the levels today, right? You use Git, you use Chef. Anyone is not using version control? Anyone? No, it's 2014. Everyone is using it. Everyone is not using Chef or Puppet? Couple of hands. You use anything else? I get CloudFormation. Good enough. So the basic idea is you want to control the change happening. You want to set standards and follow them. Everyone is on the same page. You can communicate across different people who work on the same product. You have this common language, Safa Mishutefet, that everyone understands. What is the latest version? Where can I go to find out what the latest version is of the server, of the provisioning of your cloud servers, of your application, of your configuration that is unique to your environment, all that. It's a much broader topic than just Chef, okay? It should include all this, but I bet most of your application code in Git doesn't include all the packages that are installed on your servers, what are the mail servers, how they're configured, and the rest of this list, how your deployment's done. It's maybe configured in some other way, or maybe in someone's head. We'll come back to that. So I want to raise some reasons why not to use CM, okay? I mean, several years ago, it was actually relevant. People were saying, we don't want to use version control. We don't want to configure our servers. We don't want to know how we provision our cloud stack and stuff. And today, for this audience probably already does all this. So, some reasons. The project is not that big. It's not big, it's just a small project. We don't want to manage everything. We'll just go to the server, configure it manually, and that's it, okay? Not such a good reason. The development opens a CLI, enters the production server, types some commands, opens VI, edits some files. They don't manage it. Why? Because they found a problem in their production and they have to fix it right now, right? You have to let people quick patch. It's a great reason. The customer asked to fix something real quick, real small, yeah? We don't need any change management for that. Just please fix it. We want our customers to be satisfied with us. And the customers, they don't pay us for configuration management, so we don't need all these tools that will take more time to fix a problem. All this unnecessary bureaucracy, I mean, these changes, why should we manage them? We just go and do them and everything will be okay. Anyone heard that one before? No, I don't hear anyone who is saying he heard that. But I heard it several times, and usually in half of the cases, things are not okay. Okay, after someone went rogue and changed things in production, like, I'll just change it real quick now. Nobody knows what is the latest state that's supposed to be the state of your servers or application or whatever. Nobody knows which bugs have been fixed. Nobody knows what the current problems are and should be fixed. Some people say it limits their flexibility. We are not fast enough if we do this extra overhead, right? And we are changing too fast. We're a startup. We want to, like, boom, 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 release features. And our creativity suffers. Now, this is actually a fine line, because on one hand, you do want to keep your systems stable because your customers expect your systems to be stable, like we heard today several times. And on the other hand, you do want to experiment and be creative and innovate, right? I asked the question on a Facebook group yesterday to know if I'm right about what I thought. And developers are usually, and I want you to answer as well, how are developers measured commonly? Okay, what is the most common way that developers are measured today in companies? Anyone? Is it lines of code? Yes? No? Okay, so some of the answers that came up was that the amount of features developers are releasing, and the faster they release them, that is the way developers are measured today. And you know the famous line that says, how will you measure me? That's the way I'm gonna go, right? So if I need to manage all this configuration stuff on the side, maybe do it as code, and it's not a feature that our customers are gonna receive, we're not gonna do that. That's some people say. And Google proves it. Many people go to Google and say, what WTF is this important? Okay, why should we do this? And basically, today, many companies, not you, because nobody raised their hands, but many companies still manage their systems like the automobile industry managed to create cars in the 900s, okay, like 100 years ago. And they build the cars manually. But today, they have mass customization, they have standard tooling, and they have mass production. They have standards and they have change management, and nothing changes just out of the blue because someone came in and wanted to just fix this small line in a robot that makes a car, right? Because that just wouldn't work. And the IT operations still has a long way to go towards that. So I'll come back again to why configuration management is important. It allows you to avoid bringing back old bugs, okay? Things that should work don't suddenly break and they revert back to their broken state after you fix them because somebody executed chef on a server and some other guy went manually and fixed the problem and didn't record it anywhere. You don't have to do a lot of things twice, especially when you have hundreds of servers. things like Chef and Puppet are life-saving because without them, you would not be able to configure them all and put the correct configuration in place. And of course, with code, it's obvious. I mean, if I want to deploy a new version of code, I will change it in my version control and deploy that. But with servers, it's not yet obvious everywhere. People are still doing changes in their production environments. And what happens when disaster strikes? When you had this one special server, and I have seen several startups that have two servers or one server. Nobody has any idea how it was configured because it's 4 years old. And what if this happens? The business is lost. There's no more business. Okay? You don't make any more money. And can you reproduce your server? No, you cannot. So we as humans are not very good at most of this automation stuff, especially when large numbers are concerned. Computers used to be just people, but that was a long time ago. In 1613, humans were called computers first. Okay, and today we can change much faster because we have all these tools that allow us to automate what we do. Okay, to manage the change in an automated way. So if you have this guy and the company decides they don't need documentation, they don't need to codify their infrastructure or their processes or whatever, and this guy is not so happy to come to work anymore and wants to leave. Okay, what happens to the business? It cannot continue. There's no business continuity when Ben, for example, is looking for another job, right? And it's too late to start it. So automate complexity, because people suck at complex stuff. Automate communication between people, just write it all in one central place, and who works on what is managed. And maybe you've seen this meme before. Automate all the things, everything that can be automated and computerized, and humans shouldn't be doing it. Do this. And this company called, you cannot see the link, so I won't name them. They made this survey and asked how much of your infrastructure is being automated or configuration managed of several thousand companies. And 61% of the companies says just less than 10% of their infrastructure is being managed and in some kind of configuration management tools. Okay. So, to summary, because the topic of this talk was CM ROI, and I see you're falling asleep already. Let's have 2 slides about what ROI is. Okay, so configuration management saves money, but I assume that you do not believe me. So let's just look at what ROI is. It's the payback you get, okay, by dividing. Oh, there's nothing here. Okay. Oh well. So this says ROI, payback minus inventory divided by, investment divided by investment. Yeah, I guess the colors are not so good. And the next slide. You know what? Let me fix it. No, would not work. Jesus. Yay. Anyway, technical problems. So, yeah. So, what will an investment? I mean, most people think of investment as dollars. But what if you invest 2 days in automate something that you realize it takes you 4 days every month to do, okay? Or every month, for 4 days, some guy goes to some servers and does some stuff, okay? And you say, why not automate it? And you waste 2 days automating it, but your ROI is huge. Because you take this, the payback you get in the year, right? 4 days multiplied by the amount of months. You subtract the 2 days that you actually spent on it and you divide it by 2, and then you get that your ROI is crazy. Okay, 1 second. Okay, from the same survey they did, they compared IT shops that were not DevOps oriented, that didn't think everything should be automated and everything should be in configuration management, against those shops that said that 60% of their infrastructure was not in configuration management. And they found out how many days are spent on different tasks. So, for example, deploying changes, if you have a DevOps team, it takes like half a day less, right? When you automate repetitive tasks, DevOps are spending more time, but when they actually have to use it, for example, they have to support stuff, they save time over there. And now I don't have my speaker notes, so I don't have what. And that's it, because I invite you to join the Operation Israel group in Facebook. Several people, even today, came up to me and said, the news that are posted in that group, it's completely open group, are interesting. So I invite everyone to go to this link and join the ops.il group. And that's it. Thank you.